All right, let's jump right in. Today we're talking about the loudest, most powerful section of the orchestra, the brass family.
Yeah, the heavy hitters.
Totally. I mean, if you're starting band this year, you probably already know these instruments are just built for huge, commanding sound.
It really comes down to the physics of it. I mean,
Yeah.
you're dealing with instruments made of metal alloys, specifically brass, which is a mix of copper and zinc. And that material, it just projects sound like nothing else.
But the wild thing is how all that power starts with something so small.
I know, it's just the vibration of your own lips. That's it.
Exactly. The absolute core of every single brass sound is the player buzzing their lips together into a mouthpiece. And then this long coiled tube just takes that raw little buzz, amplifies it, and shapes it into music.
So that's the big question for us today, right? How do you turn that simple buzz into something so controlled and powerful?
Let's start right where the sound starts, the mouthpiece.
The mouthpiece is absolutely critical. It's where the sound is born. And if you look at them, you'll see they're either a kind of deep funnel shape or a sharper cup shape.
And they're made of brass, but plated, right?
Yeah, usually silver or gold plated. It just makes them feel smooth and comfortable on your lips.
And the size of that cup, that tells you a lot about the instrument sound, doesn't it?
It tells you everything. Think of it like this. A small, shallow cup helps create a bright, high sound.
Like on a trumpet.
Exactly. A trumpet mouthpiece is pretty small and shallow, but then you look at a tuba mouthpiece, and it's massive. It's deep. It's built for those big, slow, low vibrations.
And just making a sound, any sound at all, takes a ton of skill.
Oh, it's athletic. The very first thing you have to master is your embouchure.
Which is just the fancy term for how you hold your mouth, right?
Pretty much. It's the precise position of your lips, your facial muscles, your jaw. It has to be firm and steady. If your embouchure is weak, your tone is going to be fuzzy or just not there.
Okay, so you've got a good buzz going, it's moving through the pipe. How does it get out into the room? That's the bell's job.
Right, the bell, that big flared end. Its main job is what we call an acoustic transformation.
Oh, wait.
It basically connects the vibrating air inside the tube to the normal air outside. It's the final step that helps the sound spread out and really determines how loud it's going to be.
And the shape of the bell matters, too.
Oh, absolutely. A larger bell usually means a warmer, broader sound. You can even see it in how players hold their instruments. A trumpet bell points straight out.
That direct fanfare sound.
Exactly. But a French horn bell often points backward. That helps get that softer, more mellow effect.
And these instruments are so precise that even a little dent in the bell can throw the whole thing out of tune.
It really can. The metal is shaped so perfectly for resonance.
Okay, so that's the basics of making one sound. But the real engineering challenge is changing notes.
Yeah, because if the tube was just one fixed length, you could only play a handful of notes just by tightening your lips.
The natural notes or the harmonics series.
Right. But you couldn't play a full scale. To hit every single note in between, you have to physically change how long the tube is. And that's the whole job of valves. They're mechanical switches.
So how does pushing a button make a metal tube longer?
Think of them like traffic controllers for your air. When you press a valve down, it reroutes the air, it takes it off the main path and sends it through a little extra loop of tubing.
So it adds length.
It adds length.
Yeah.
And the rule is simple. The longer the path the air travels, the lower the note gets. And by using different combinations of the three valves, you can get all the lengths you need for every note.
And there are two main designs for those valves, right?
Yep. You've got piston valves and rotary valves.
What's the difference?
Piston valves move straight up and down, like, pistons in a car engine. They're super common on student instruments like trumpets and tubas because they're easier to clean. Rotary valves, they turn in a circle, kind of like a tiny revolving door for the air. You see them on French horns a lot. They allow for a quicker, shorter finger motion.
It's crazy to think that this tech only really got good in the early 1800s.
I know. Before valves, if you wanted to play in a different key, you had to literally stop playing and swap out pieces of the instrument.
You're talking about crooks, right?
Yeah, these extra loops of tubing you had to carry around with you. Imagine having to stop mid-performance to rebuild your trumpet. It really limited what composers could even write for brass.
So the valve changed everything.
It was probably the single biggest leap in brass history. Suddenly they could be these amazingly melodic instruments.
But then there's the rebel of the family, the trombone. No valves at all.
The trombone is so cool. It just uses a slide. It's a different solution to the same problem, changing the tube length.
How does that work?
You just physically push the slide out away from you. The farther you push it, the longer the tube gets and the lower the note goes.
So what's the hardest part about learning trombone?
The hardest part is that there are no buttons to press. You have to memorize 7 basic slide positions and find the exact spot for every note just by feel and by ear.
So you need a really good ear.
An incredibly good ear, and amazing muscle memory. But because of that slide, you can do something no other brass instrument can really do.
The glissando.
The glissando, that smooth, continuous smear of sound like a siren. It's totally unique.
All right, now that we know how they work, let's meet the family, starting from the top with the trumpet.
The trumpet is the soprano. It's coiled up to be only about, 19 inches long, but if you stretched it out, it's much longer. 3 piston valves, bright, piercing tone.
You hear it everywhere, from classical music to military fanfares.
But jazz is where it really shines, all those incredible improvised solos.
And getting those super high notes is all about muscle, right? Tighten your lips and blowing air really fast.
A lot of face and lung strength, yeah. Okay, moving down a bit, we get to the French horn.
The one with the beautiful circular shape.
Right. And it has this really mellow, almost mysterious sound. It has a huge range, but it's famous for being one of the hardest instruments in the orchestra to play well.
Why is it so much harder?
It's because the tubing is incredibly long and narrow. We're talking up to 12 feet of tubing.
Wow.
And because it's so long and thin, all the notes in that harmonic series are packed super close together. Trying to hit the right one is like trying to hit a tiny target from a mile away. It takes absolute mastery.
And there's that fun fact about the player's hand, right?
Yeah. The player always keeps their right hand inside the bell. And it's not just to hold it. They use their hand to make tiny adjustments to the tuning and change the sound.
So they can make it sound muted just with their hand.
Instantly. It's why it's so perfect for movie soundtracks. It's got that rich emotional quality.
Okay, next up, the trombone.
We talked about its slide. It sits in the middle register, lower than the trumpet, and it provides this really strong foundational sound. It's the harmonic glue.
And they're big. A standard tenor trombone is almost 4 feet long with the slide all the way in.
For sure. And you'll often see 3 or more of them together in orchestras, or especially in big band jazz, providing that rhythmic punch.
And then at the very bottom, holding everything up.
Is the heavyweight champion the tuba?
The biggest and lowest of them all.
It's the anchor. It takes a huge amount of air to play, which is why it's usually played sitting down. The bell alone can be 20 inches wide.
And it has 3 to 5 valves, depending on the model.
Right. It was actually invented in the mid-1800s specifically to give bands a really powerful bass sound. And of course, there's the marching version.
The sousaphone.
The sousaphone, which is basically a tuba you can wear. It wraps around your shoulder so you can march with it and still have that deep bass on the field.
Speaking of performing, let's talk about one of the most fun accessories.
Yeah.
Mutes.
Mutes are great. You stick them in the bell and they completely change the sound.
Yeah.
They can be made of wood, aluminum, plastic, anything really.
The most common one is the straight mute, which just makes the sound quieter and thinner.
Yeah, but the fun ones are the wah-wah or plunger mutes.
The ones that make it sound like the instrument is talking.
Exactly. Jazz players use them all the time. They hold them over the bell and move them to get these really funny vocal-like sounds.
But technically, they make the instrument harder to play, don't they?
They do. A mute creates a lot of back pressure, so you have to blow harder. It's a tool composers use to make a really loud instrument suddenly sound distant or spooky.
Now, a big metal instrument like this needs some serious care, especially for new players. Let's talk maintenance. The biggest issue is moisture.
Always moisture. Every time you breathe out, that warm air hits the cool metal and you get condensation, just water.
So you have to empty the spit valves.
You have to empty the water keys or spit valves constantly. If you don't, the instrument starts to gurgle and it messes up the tone.
And beyond that, they need a proper cleaning.
You got to give the instrument a bath. About once a month, take it apart and wash it in warm, soapy water. It gets rid of all the gunk that builds up inside.
You also need to keep things lubricated.
Oh, yeah. The valves need special lightweight oil so they can move super fast. And the tuning slides need a heavier grease so you can pull them out to tune, but they won't slip while you're playing.
And a final warning. Be careful with them. The metal is actually pretty thin.
It's very thin and easy to dent, and like we said, a dent can really mess up your sound and your tuning.
Looking back, it's amazing how far these instruments have come.
It really is. I mean, for thousands of years, people just used animal horns or shells to make noise for, hunting or battles.
Then they moved on to simple metal tubes, but they could only play a few notes.
Right, they weren't really melodic instruments yet. The modern brass family, as we know it, it's really a product of the Industrial Revolution when valve technology was perfected in Europe.
And that single invention just unlocked everything.
It made them so versatile, suddenly they were crucial parts of the orchestra.
Which is why we see them everywhere today. In classical music, they bring the power for those huge moments. They're the stars of marching bands at halftime shows.
And in jazz, the trumpet and trombone are just essential for solos. Big bands use huge brass sections to create that famous wall of sound. They're in rock, pop, New Orleans brass bands. They're everywhere.
So for you, the player, what does this all boil down to? These instruments are incredible machines that combine physics, vibration, airflow, tube length with some serious athletic skill.
Yeah, breath control, that super steady embouchure. It's a real workout.
So here's a thought to leave you with. When you're in the practice room and getting frustrated, just think about what it was like 200 years ago.
Before valves. When musicians had to be so incredibly strong and precise, knowing they could only get a handful of notes just by using their lips, the valves you take for granted today, they really did change music forever.
Good luck with your studies and enjoy the sound.